MMA Prospect Series. My apologies for my followers that waited for this video. I know there's been quite a gap between this one and part 3. My work schedule was just insane this year. I just didn't have time to finish it up. I put most of the information and the video together about a month ago, but work was just too busy and I couldn't get to it. So I just finished editing it here yesterday, and was really looking forward to it. The bantamweight division is stacked. So again, we're going to talk about a bunch of fighters today. It's going to be tough for me to get one video out a month and might drip into 2024 to get the remaining divisions. But however, my goal is still going to be one per month. Again, before we get into this, I'm going to ask all the folks, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please feel free to comment. I always like talking MMA. It shows me you want this series to continue. It supports the channel and it also supports the fighters, which is great. The more exposure we get for those guys, the better. We already had lots of folks picking up by the UFC and some of the big organizations since we started this 2023 series. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Please support my channel and the fighters. Let's get into some stats for today's video. Actually, next we're going to get to some rules first. I apologize. The rules. No UFC experience, including tough or contender series. Now, a caveat for this video, because I was so busy, I know some of the fighters in the video have been contacted for potential fights on the contender series, but we'll get to those when we talk to those specific fighters. I'm going to leave them in because for me to go back and change it out would take like a week. And there's a few guys, when we get to those particular fighters, I'll bring it up. Excuse me. No Bellator experience, no PFL experience, no ONE FC experience, and no Rizin experience. The stats for today's fighters, or today's video. Again, we have 71 fighters with an average age of 25, 26 different countries represented, 696 wins, 50 losses, 6 draws, with an overall finish rate of 70%. So just a massive, massive video. Going forward, I mean, for the remainder of this 2023 series, we're going to go big for each division. And then I think after that, down the road, I'm going to get back to the way it was 10, 15 years ago. I may do, random prospect videos throughout the year and close up the gap to way less fighters, maybe 5, 6, 10 fighters a video again throughout the year. Also, just so everyone knows, I'm going to be doing much more content on this channel outside of just MMA prospects. I got all kinds of great ideas or ideas I'm interested in. I hope you think they're great, but I'm looking forward to sharing some of the stuff with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the bantamweights. And boy, is there a lot of them, and boy, is there a lot of beasts. First up, we're going to talk about a monster right away. Again, so everyone knows, the fighters we talk about today, there's no ranking. Some fighters are going to be left off. This is just 70 folks I want to talk about. It doesn't matter if someone's mentioned first or last. There's no ranking. It's just fighters I want to talk about randomly, prospects. And again, we try to keep it below 30. And for the majority of this video, most of the fighters are below 30, but there is a few folks that are 30 or 31. So just guys I want to make sure got a shout out. Without further ado, folks, let's get started. The first guy we're going to talk about, again, on a little bit of an older side, and definitely I would classify him more as a contender than a prospect, but he needs a shout out. Azamat Kerefov, 31 years old, 5'8", 135, fighting out of Russia. 16 wins, no losses, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions, a 31% finish rate. Don't let that low rate fool you. Former ACA flyweight champion, Tech Prep FC Prime Selection 2016 tournament champion. I've been wanting to talk about this guy for years, and back in 2020, the year we did the Prospect Series again, my work got in the way after I finished 7 videos, and when I was getting ready to do the flyweights, I just couldn't get to it, so it just never happened. He left ACA recently, became a free agent. He moved to the bantamweight division, and he looked great in his first fight. It was in the UAE Warriors, I believe. And now I've heard he's going back down to flyweight and re-signing with the ACA. So regardless of that, he looked great when he moved to bantamweight. I put him in the video, and I'm going to keep him in the 135, although he may go back to 125. This guy's a brick wall. He's beat some tough competition, and going 7-0 in the ACA promotion is not an easy task to do. Very well rounded, can wrestle, of course, can work off his back. He's comfortable on his feet. Again, don't let the low finish rate percentage fool you. Man, this guy's a monster, and in my opinion, if he can go back to flyweight, if he was to go, say, in the UFC, man, he'd be a contender, in my opinion, right away. He could hang with anybody. Not saying he's going to beat everybody, but he can hang with everybody. And same thing, Bellator starting a new flyweight division. What a pickup this guy would be. Regardless, if he does go back to the ACA, their flyweight division is stacked, and they're currently in the midst of their their $1 million tournament. If you watch that along the way, they're full of killers as well. So Azamat Kerefov, a guy to watch out for, and check him out. Next on the list, Renat Khavalov, 24-5-9, again 135 out of Russia. 7 wins, no losses, 5 knockouts, 71% finish rate. He's beaten great guys. Taking a look at his opposition record was 61-27. All pro fights have been under the Eagle FC, formerly GFC banner, against some very good competition. Lots of undefeated prospects. A protege of the great Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib has labeled him as a future champion. Obviously, out of the Nurmagomedov camp, Khavalov is a vicious, smothering wrestler with some heavy and brutal ground and pound. He mauls most opponents, but is also very loose on his feet, and he's got decent hands. Hasn't shown much of me from a submission threat, but I'm sure that's something he's capable of and something he's working on. So very interesting prospect. Hasn't fought in a little while, but hopefully we'll get to see him again soon. Renat Khavalov. And another caveat, folks, we're going to move along pretty quick because there's so many fighters. I don't want to make a 2-hour video. So some of these guys are just going to get a quick shout out for the most part. Some folks will go into a little bit more detail. Next on the list, Jean Matsumoto, 23 years old, 5'6", 135 out of Brazil. 13 wins, no losses, 3 knockouts, 5 submissions for a 62% finish rate. Former Standout Fighting Tournament Bantamweight champ. Former Fight Pro Championship Bantamweight champion. I've seen big improvements in Jean over the last few years as he continues to develop. He's become a well-rounded fighter, looking more and more comfortable on his feet, with the threat of not only hands, but throws an array of kicks based on his deep Muay Thai experience. Of course, he has a threat of submission as well from any area. He's beat some quality opponents, a lot of them having great records. And at 13-0, it's only a matter of time, I believe, before this guy gets picked up by the UFC, Bellator, although now the big rumors of Bellator for sale. The PFL one, he'd be a good fit anywhere. So let's see what happens, Jean Matsumoto. Next on the list, another beast from Russia, Murad Magomedov, 27 years old, 5'9", 135 out of Russia. 13 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts, 5 submissions for a 54% finish rate. Another beast from Russia. He looked tremendous in his last fight. A quick first-round stoppage. Well-rounded, wrestling, striking, submission threat, and it does have a gas tank to go the distance. He's beat quality opponents throughout his career, highlighted by 4 straight wins in the ACA, and now on to the UAE Warriors promotion. If you want to see some of his skills on display, check out his last fight at UAE Warriors 39. It's on YouTube. He looked really good. So hopefully we see more of this guy soon, Murad Magomedov. Next up, heading over on to the United States of America, we have Austin Bashi. At just 21 years old, 5'3", again, fighting in the USA. 10 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions for a 50% finish rate. Lights Out Championship Bantamweight champ and former Shamrock FC Bantamweight champ. Bashi started his journey at a very young age, training jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and he also wrestled in high school, I believe, and has burst out of the gate with a 10-0 professional record in just 2.5 years. Seems to improve each fight as he begins to finish opponents. He smothers opponents and gives them little to no room, wearing them out, always looking for the finish. He seemed to be quite seasoned for just 21. Really looking forward to seeing more of Austin. I think, again, it's only a matter of time. When you start out your career 10-0, You know, if you get to 11-0, 12-0, even if you get a loss against a good opponent and a great fight, you'll get looked at. So it's only a matter of time now before Austin, I believe, gets picked up or a contract offered. The next guy we're going to talk about now, a caveat, I've heard that this guy's got potentially an opportunity. I don't know if it's on Contender Series or to fight in the UFC card. We'll throw that caveat out there. Caolan Loughran, 26 years old, 5'6", 135, fighting out of Ireland. 8 wins, no losses, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions for an 88% finish rate. Former Cage Warriors bantamweight champ. Caolan finishes fights and most recently over a couple of very good opponents. Very fundamentally sound on his feet. Throws a nice low kick. Good variety of punches with some power. Check out his last fight at Cage Warriors 154 for a great video and great fight. Defends takedowns. And overall wrestling grappling, of course, will be an important piece from him as he enters some very tough competition, if he is in fact going to get picked up in the near future. And again, I'm really looking forward to seeing this guy. Very exciting prospect at Ireland, Caolan Loughran. So check him out and give him a follow on social media, and I'm sure you'll be happy. Next on the list, heading over to Georgia, Otar Tanzilov, 25, 5'10", a big bantamweight, fighting out of Georgia again. 9 wins, no losses, 7 knockouts for a 78% finish rate. Another tough, dangerous fighter out of Georgia. Otar is a dangerous, big, long bantamweight and throws an arsenal of kicks, hard low kicks, spinning back kicks, you name it. Throws some heavy straight punches. Seems to have good wrestling, although no sign of a submission threat yet. But hey, again, Georgia is starting to pump out some great tough fighters, and this guy looks to be the next one, so keep an eye on him for sure. Next up, Dzhamaludin Aliev, 23 years old, 5'7", another Dagestani beast. 9-0, 9 knockouts, 89% finish rate. 2019 IMMAF World Championships. He won silver in the bantamweight division. Excuse me, folks. Open FC bantamweight champ. Russian MMA 2019 silver. WMMA World Youth 2017 MMA Championship gold. Another example of a Russian fighter with extensive amateur experience. Ties with some of Russia's best fighters, such as Islam Makhachev. I haven't seen a ton of footage on Aliev, but with his recent 5-round tough fight, he won via split decision. It appears, he's a diverse striker from both a kicking and punching standpoint. Also appears to be a good, strong wrestler. So let's hope we get to see more of him and more highlights. All right, next up, another Russian, Shakhban Gapizov, 23 years old, 5'7". Not confirmed on the height actually, but that's what I came up with, was 5'7". 2 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts as a pro, 13-1 as an amateur. Again, man, some of these Europeans and Russians and you name it are getting this massive amateur background, which is making such a huge difference for them when they turn pro. 2021 World Bantamweight IMMAF Gold, 2019 Cup of Orenburg Gold, the Russian 2021 MMA Championship Gold. What a young, talented fighter. Very agile, very athletic, throws a variety of nasty kicks, loves the spinning head kick, hard low kick. I've seen him prep opponents with quick, crisp punches. He can smite folks, and he can also wrestle. Impressive amateur career and off to a fast start with a couple of quick wins in his pro career. Let's hope we see more of this guy soon. Moving on, another beast, another amateur beast out of Russia, Asaf Chopurov, 21 years old. I got him at 32 wins and 1 loss as an amateur. So let's take a look at this resume. 2021 Junior World Bantamweight Gold. 2023 Russian MMA Championship Gold. 2023 Russian Cup Gold. 2022 Cup of Moscow Gold. 2022 Commonwealth Cup. 2022 Russian MMA Championships, 2021 All MMA Championships Gold in Russia, 2021 MMA Championship Iron Slap of Young Adults, 2021 Russian Cup, Southern Federal District. I mean, what can you say? for a 21-year-old to have those accolades. Over 30 amateur fights, 32 wins. Again, let's go back to the difference between a lot of North American fighters. Some of them turning pro right away, to our brothers and sisters overseas and in Russia and those places are just getting such an immense opportunity on the amateur circuit. Again, hopefully we see more of this guy, and hopefully he turns pro soon. I mean, 32-1, in my opinion, it's time. So, great fighter. Next on the list, Bakhtovar Yunusov, 24 years old, 5'9", out of Tajikistan. 10 wins, no losses, 5 knockouts, 3 submissions, 80% finish rate. Another well-rounded, dangerous prospect with smothering wrestling, heavy ground and pound, and a submission threat. Very under-the-radar prospect. Impressive wins on YouTube. Check it out. If you watch his fights, he was dominant a few years back and just seems to get more and more dominant each time out. Hopefully, this video can get him exposure with both mine and yours, the viewers' help. Next up, Khusein Shaikhaev, 26 years old, out of Russia. Man, these Russia's full of prospects. 12-0, 2 knockouts, 5 submissions, 58% finish rate. All 12 fights under the ACA banner, and that says a lot. ACA and the Berkut Young Eagles, which is part of ACA. And to go 12-0 under that promotion with so many tough fighters, that says a lot. This guy's a beast. Wrestling is his forte, smothering, controlling opponents. But you'll also see him throw hands and some effective head kicks. And of course, heavy ground and pound. Still improving each fight. 12-0, 26. Man, he's close. Next on the list, another beast out of Russia. 27-year-old Rakhim Midaev. 12-1, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions, 67% finish rate. Yet again, another beast from that part of the world. What a deep pool at 135. Aggressive, well-rounded fighter that's been in some tough fights. Very well-rounded. Submission threat, strong wrestling, throws hands, punches, knees, you name it. Perfect candidate for the UFC or Bellator Bantamweight division. Next on the list, heading to Brazil. Matias Henrique Correa, 22-year-old out of Brazil, 7 wins, no losses. Just a 1 knockout, 1 submission, 29% finish rate. Iron MMA Bantamweight champ, Nacio Cyborg Bantamweight champ, and Sedai Dulatra Bantamweight champ. Still developing, seems to be well-rounded, not a huge finisher at this point in his career. 3 titles, though, in smaller promotions already. That says a lot. So he's been 5 rounds already, which is great. Great experience at this point in his career with an impressive gas tank. So looking forward to seeing more of Matias Henrique Correa. Next on the list, heading back to Georgia. Now, Zuriko Jojua, 27, 5'7", fights in KSWs. We're going to talk about the KSW Bantamweight division at the very end of the video. Just a quick shout out for those folks, but he's part of that. We're going to go a little more in depth on him. He's 9-1 with 1 knockout, 4 submissions for a 56% finish rate. And again, he won't be the only one from KSW we're going to cover. He's a physically strong Georgian, like most Georgians are, who's on the rise. 5 stoppages, and rolling in KSW, beating a very experienced Anton Runik in his last fight. Strong ground control and submission threat. Haven't seen much of a stand-up, but hope to see more of that soon, as he will get lots of fights in the KSW that we can get our eyes on. Next up out of Russia again, Dzhaddal Alibekov. 5'10", big bantamweight, 10 wins, no losses. The Sherdog versus Tapology is mixed up. One has him at 10-0, one has him at 9-1. 5 knockouts, 4 submissions, 90% finish rate. Again, another beast from Russia. And he's fought some tough competition at this point in his career. Dangerous fight finisher. He's a striker that can wrestle and also submit you. Heavy ground and pound. Controls opponents, always looking to finish. Exciting bantamweight. We'd like to see him get some more exposure. Hopefully we'll see him soon. And folks, again, if you share the video, like the video, share it wherever, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, it helps gets these guys exposure that they deserve, and hopefully you can help them out. Next on the list, I'm not the most experienced MMA prospect, but this guy is a beast. Youssouf Binate, 25 years old, 6 feet out of the Ivory Coast. 4 wins, no losses, 3 knockouts, 1 submission, 100% finish rate. A deadly striker, fighting both at 135 and 145. Has numerous accolades as a Thai boxer. Too many to list, but he's had numerous titles, tournament wins, and KOs in that sport. Transition MMA, you got to check out his highlights. Deadly, deadly low kicks and brutal elbows. Really fun to watch. Check it out on YouTube, folks. Ground game and takedown offense, of course, will be where he needs to work on. I'm not sure how he is in that aspect. A lot of Thai boxers and kickboxers and stuff come over. They struggle in that aspect. Some of them do, but some of them become. Look at Izzy. Has become one of the pound-for-pound fighters and one of the best 185ers in the history of the sport. One of them. MMA Rune Factory with the likes of Sirogan, Imanov, and more. Really looking forward to see this guy. And again, if you want to see some nasty kicks, check out the highlights. Youssouf Binate. Next on the list, moving right along, Philip Lima, 25 years old, 5'6" out of Brazil, 12 wins, 1 loss, 4 knockouts, 2 submissions for a 50% finish rate. Octagon MMA bantamweight champion, Amazon Talent bantamweight champion, Flight Club Rush bantamweight champion. Trains out of the famous All-Stars Training Center with the likes of Gustafsson, Latifi, and Chimaev. Impressive young, talented fighter, very well-rounded, good striking, smothering grappling, controls opponents, looking for finishes. My opinion, UFC ready. I'm not sure how successful he'll be, but he can hang in there with for sure in UFC's division. Not sure what kind of contract he has. He's under, but most definitely a great prospect. Next up, Tajikistan. Man, there's a lot of beasts coming out of Tajikistan and Kazakhstan. We're going to talk about both of those countries in this video. Otabek Rajabov, 20 years old. Amateur record of 13-1. IMMAF 2021 Junior European Bantamweight Champ. 2021 Junior World Cup of Prague Bantamweight Champ. 2022 Asian Junior Bantamweight Champ. Tajikistan continues to pump out prospects. With great amateur experience, very agile, comfortable on his feet, and well-rounded. I really hope we see more of this guy, and it'd be great to see him turn pro. Next up, man, this guy's another monster. Rodrigo Vera, 27 out of Peru, 15-1-1 with 6 knockouts, 3 submissions, 60% finish rate. Fusion FC bantamweight champ, Redemption Fighters bantamweight champ. Our first entry from Peru, but definitely not the last. Rodrigo is a scrappy bantamweight and has a win over recent a guy we're going to talk about later in the video who's currently scheduled, I believe, to fight on a Contender Series card. He has a win over that guy, which we'll talk about. But Rodrigo finishes fights by both knockout and submission, has shown he has the gas tank to go the distance. A scrappy fighter. And I hope to see more of him very, very soon. The only guy he's lost to is the guy we're going to talk about next, and a guy we talked about 3 years ago, and a guy that deserves to be picked up. I really hope this guy gets a shot. I don't care what big promotion it's in. Love to see him in UFC or Bellator, but he'd be a great fit. 1FC, you name it. Eduardo Marias Torres, 28, fighting out of Chile. 16-1, 6 knockouts, 3 submissions for a 56% finish rate. Tough guy. Again, featured in 2020. He's got a win over the only person to beat the previously mentioned Rodrigo Vera Torres. Scrappy all-out fighter. Shows up to fight. Great to see fighters coming out of Chile. Well-rounded TKO, submissions, distance, you name it. Not going to go into much detail about him. I did talk about him 3 years back, so just wanted to make sure he got back on this video, and hopefully we can get him some exposure. Next up, David Martinez, just 25 years old, 5'5" out of Mexico. Great to see Mexican prospects coming up. And like Mexican boxers that were tough as nails, so are Mexican MMA fighters. 10 wins, 1 loss, 9 knockouts, 90% finish rate. To Combate Global Bantamweight Champ. This is a great promotion. And they continue to pump out great fighters. Martinez is a high-paced, high-action fighter that finishes fights as per his 90% KO rate. Very quick hands, and as seen in some of his fights, he's got one-punch power. Very entertaining to watch, for sure. Good ground and pound, gas tank. But we haven't seen much of his wrestling, so that's something I'll look to see in future fights. But again, man, hopefully we see this guy on a big stage soon. Moving on, a beast from Cuba, Lazaro Dayron. 31 years old, so again, he's getting up there, and I kind of went back and forth, but this guy, I want to get him some exposure, and he deserves it at 5'6", fighting at now the USA, but from Cuba. 7 wins, no losses, 3 knockouts, 43% finish rate. Again, this guy's a beast. Big wrestling background, 9-time medalist in freestyle wrestling in Cuba, and he's won multiple international championships as well. High level wrestling with some heavy ground and pound. Opponents will have to figure out a way to keep him on his feet. That's the way to have to success against him, and that's an area that he's going to have to continue to develop and work on. And at 31, the time is now. It'd be great to see this beast get picked up by somebody before he passes his prime. Next up, Evgeniy Ignatiev, 28 years old, 5'9", out of Russia. 20 wins, 2 losses, 2 ties, 8 knockouts, 9 submissions, 85% finish rate. Fight champ, reality champ at 155, AMC Fight Night Global 135 champ. Under the radar fighter. Nobody talks about this guy. He's currently on a 10-fight win streak. Again, he's been in there with some great opponents, and he's most definitely is a finisher, stopping 17 out of 20 opponents during his wins by TKO and submission. A little wild in his striking, but he has power, and he finds ways to win fights. Like to see him get a shot now. I mean, he may struggle against a real technical guy, but he seems again to be improving each fight. So definitely a guy I want to give a shout out for, and a guy I hope to see again soon. Next up, I mentioned Kazakhstan earlier. Man, they continue to pump out beasts. Sultan Zholdoshbek, Ulu, 19 wins, 2 losses, 9 knockouts, 3 submissions, 63% finish rate. 27 now, so he's at that age where he's really starting to come into his own, and he's ready. 2020 Bushido Kazakhstan Championship Bantamweight Grand Prix champ, winning 4 fights in one night. And in 2020, the Bader Fighting Championship Bantamweight Grand Prix finished second. Again, 4 fights in one night. Another warrior from Kazakhstan. Prospect after prospect. Sultan has been in there with some great opponents, and he's a great record. Great gas tank. Another scrappy fighter, looks to finish fights. It says a lot for this day and age for a guy to have multiple 4-fight nights. It's something we just don't see anymore, like back when the sport was in its infancy. So a guy to check out. Next up, man, we got a couple of Tajikistans coming up. Khalim Nazruloev, 7-0, 3 knockouts, 1 submission, 57% finish rate. Again, back to Tajikistan, we did another prospect. This guy, he's been in some firefights, throws some hard punches and kicks with a wrestling base, heavy ground and pound, smothers opponents, KO, submission threat. He does get hit a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see if he can tighten that up before he gets in there with some high-level competition. And also from Tajikistan, Hurshed Nazarov, 23, 5'8", 9-0, 1 tie, 4 knockouts, 1 submission, 56% finish rate. Another tough young fighter from Tajikistan. Just the latest member to come out of there, and fighting under the ACA banner and Young Eagles. He's getting some great competition. Southpaw wrestling-based fighter. He's still developing, but he's won some tough fights. Most recently, a decision against a fighter we're going to talk about a little later on. But he finds ways to win fights. Seems to be able to pull off the KO or TKO, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. Next up, Mehdi Baidulaev, 27, 5'10", 135, 15-2, 3 knockouts, 7 submissions, 67% finish rate. Mehdi has spent almost his full career fighting in the ACA promotion, which says a lot, having a 15-2 record. He finishes fights top bantamweight at 135. A definite submission threat, and smothers opponents with his wrestling, throws some nice low kicks, and he has the ability to throw decent head kicks as well. Haven't seen much of his striking from a punching standpoint. He's coming into his prime at 27, so let's hope we see him get some spotlight soon. Bekzat Almakhan, 24, Fight Nedev, Kazakhstan again, 16-1. Man, what a great record. 11 knockouts, 1 submission, 75% finish rate. Once again, Kazakhstan, yet another great prospect. Exciting bantamweight to watch. Um, this guy finishes fights. Speed and aggressiveness sum it up. Good hands, KO power in both hands and kicks. Shows decent grappling and some heavy ground and pound. Would love to see this guy get picked up. Bellator, UFC, 1FC, PFL, you name it. Next up, heading back to Brazil, and we're going to try to keep cruising along pretty fast, folks, because we're only about halfway there, if halfway. Tiago Pereira, 27-5-7, out of Brazil, 6-0, 1 knockout, 1 submission. Jungle Fight, bantamweight champ. 3 of his 6 wins have come by split decision, so he hasn't dominated, folks, but he finds ways to win. And, he won the Jungle Fight bantamweight championship, so that did it for me. Seems to be well-rounded, winning fights by both TKO and submission. But for the most part, he's won by decision. Would like to see him get a couple of more fights to just develop a little more before he steps up. But usually you win that jungle fight championship belt, and you're not too old, you have a decent record. You usually get the call. A lot of times it's a call from the UFC. Next up, another beast with great amateur background. Gadzhimurad Zavaev, just 5'6", 29-0, and again he's on the cusp of considering being a prospect or a veteran, but that's because he spent such a long time in the amateur. So 3-0 as a pro, 2 knockouts, amateur pedigree, 2019 World Championship bantamweight gold, 2021 European Championship featherweight gold, 2017 and 19 Russian MMA Championship gold, and WMMAA World Championship 2017 gold. A decorated amateur, Zverev has started his pro career and looked very dominant in his last fight. Very fast, agile fighter, although he's a little more comfortable on his feet. Punching and kicking, his wrestling, ground control, and ground and pound. The submission game is one of the main factors that led to success. Interesting to see now that he's pro how good this guy really is, so check him out. Next up, heading over to the USA is Mr. Mark Gray, 31. Again, he's at that age where it's time, but I want to make sure we get this guy some exposure, some well-deserved exposure. 5'6", 6 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts, 33% finish rate. I got him down as a 4-0 amateur, CFFC amateur 145 champ. So, a big bantamweight, having fought at featherweight before. Wrestling background of Cornell, which is known for having a great wrestling program. This gives him a big advantage and a big tool to use over a lot of opponents, because we all know how important wrestling is in MMA. Hasn't fought a lot of high-level competition, though he did beat 8-1 Diego Manzur, which was a great win. And, for me, again, stand-up is the place to develop with that heavy wrestling background, but he's working hard, seems. And at the age now, I'd like to see him maybe get another fight at the most, and then like to see him on the Contender Series or something like that. So check him out. Give him a shout out. Mark Gray. You can find him on social media. Next up, back to Kazakhstan. Olzhas Moldagaliev, 2-0, 1 knockout, 1 submission, 100% finish rate. He's on this video though because of his amateur pedigree. 2017 IMMAF Asia Open Bantamweight Gold, 2017 World Championship Bantamweight Gold, 2019 Asian Championship Bantamweight Gold, 2019 World Championship Bantamweight Gold. This kid can fight. Like I've been saying about Kazakhstan, it's a hot spot for young fighters, and decently well-rounded with speed, decent stand-up, and controlling grappling. Again, just due to the pro scene, but with that big decorated amateur background, he's definitely got the talent to get things done. Let's see if we can get in some exposure. Check him out. Olzhas Moldagaliev. Next up, from Pakistan. Great to see a fighter coming out of Pakistan. Ismail Khan, just 21 years old, 5 wins, no losses. 2-2 for an 80% finish rate. IMMAF World Championship Bantamweight Bronze. Flogger Series champion. That may be a flyweight champion. Great young prospect, well-rounded, has fought some good opposition during his amateur career. Since turning pro, he's shown the ability to finish fights by TKO, including one-punch power and submission. Would be great to see a talented prospect from Pakistan arrive to the UFC. Next up, Ramzan Suleymanov, 28-5-6 from Russia, 6-0, 6 subs, 100% finish rate. This guy finishes fights. I don't think he's gone past the second round. 5 of his 6 wins have come in the ACA Young Eagles, which is no easy task. Has a good double leg shot, and definitely prefers to take the fight to the ground where he smothers opponents, setting him up for submissions. Would like to see more of a stand-up. I'm sure that's an area that he has to work, but definitely at 6-0 at that finish rate, definitely want to give him a shout-out. Next on the list, heading back over to the United States of America, we have Kasey Tanner. 31 years old again. He's at the age where I think he's ready. 6-0, 2-2 for 67. 5-0 as an amateur is what I had him down as. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but again, at 31, with a win or two, let's see him get a shot, hopefully, from a bigger org. And now fighting in the LFA. Usually LFA is a great springboard to the UFC. Smothering pressure, Tanner always is looking to finish the fight via sub or ground and pound. Would like to see him get a shot soon again at that age. Check him out. I think you can find him on social media. Next up, heading to Germany, Max Holzer, a 21-year-old, just a young guy fighting in Germany. Surprisingly, I was surprised by his wrestling. 6-0, 1-4 for 83. Again, always good to see prospects from Germany. We haven't seen a lot lately, but Max is a young, athletic, good-looking prospect, decently well-rounded from fights I've seen. He's used wrestling to take over fights and set up submissions. He's also won by decision. He's beaten some solid prospects, and he was one of them was 7-1, Alexander Luster. I think he's got an upcoming fight in late September against the kind of Conor McGregor clone, or the guy that tries to clone himself after Conor McGregor. That guy is 6-1. I seen him get knocked out, but it'd be great to see that fight. That's sometime in September. I don't have the date in front of me. I think it's September 23rd, actually. But definitely an entertaining fighter. Good young talent from Germany with some wrestling. So let's hopefully see more of Max soon, and it'd be great to see him get a shot. Next up, Manuel Exposito, 23-5-7 at Argentina, 10-1, 3-6 for a 90% finish rate. Samurai Fight House champion, Demo Fight champion. Manuel is coming off a tough decision loss to previously mentioned Phenom Cuban Lazaro Dayron, but that's his only loss. He's a fight finisher, and although he has decent hands and his overall striking's decent, his grappling and submission game is his bread and butter, and he's a fight finisher. So I'm sure we'll see him get a shot. Just 23-10-1, man. Guy gets a few more wins or less, and you'll see him. Next on the list, and a caveat, I believe this gentleman has gotten a call, potentially from the UFC, maybe for the Contender Series, not confirmed yet, but Yanis Gamori, 28, fighting out of France, 5'9", real good size bantamweight, 12-1, 3-4 for a 58% finish rate. Spartan Fight Series champion, Lion Fight Championship champion, former K1 French national champion with a 15-0 record. Again, I'm not positive, but I believe he's been contacted by someone. I think it's the UFC for potentially getting a Contender Series fight or a fight on the UFC card. So I got to dig into that a little bit further, but definitely want to include him on the list because he hasn't fought for any of the big promotions yet. Next on the list, Adrian Luna Martini, 27-5-8, 135 out of Ecuador. Man, we got a lot of diversity on this video as far as geography goes, and great to see some fighters from Ecuador. 13-1, 2-5 for 54% finish rate. Ultimate Warrior Challenge Mexico champion. Adrian is a scrappy fighter from Ecuador, finds ways to win fights. Fights at a high pace and can knock you out with one punch, as seen with his KO win over Juan Campo. Also submission capability. And showing he's got a gas tank to go the distance with a lot of bantamweights do. So most definitely got to check out at 13-1, Adrian Luna Martini. Cruising right along. Again, we're going to try to speed up here. Giovanni Galato, 20 years old. Just 20, man. He's a young guy, 5'9", a big Brazilian, 6-0. 2-1 for a 50% finish rate, 6 wins, no losses. As an amateur, I believe, to go along with some amateur kickboxing fights. Great to see a young prospect from Brazil. Giovanni is still developing. He's quite raw on his feet. So that's an area that he has to, continue to develop. However, his grappling is strong at this point in his career. Good ground and pound, and he's showing some nice takedowns and some nice slams. So check him out. Again, pretty raw to stand up, but at 6-0 and just 20 years old, he deserves a shout out. Check him out, folks. Get this guy some exposure. Get all these fighters some exposure. Next up, Kyrgyzstan. Another place pumping out beasts, Razab Sadulev. Just 22, 9-0, 4-5 for 100% finish rate. This guy's a beast. I have him at 3-0 as an amateur, winning the GAMM Asian Pacific Championship 2022 gold. And like I said, this guy's a beast. He's been unstoppable, full out aggressive fighter, fast, agile, hard kicks and punches, high level wrestling, ground and pound submissions. Fought and beat some great opponents. He's got an upcoming fight at Road FC 65. And if you're the Road FC champion, man, you got to be ready. This guy is not far from getting a shout. Definitely, if he wins at Road FC, man, he'd be getting some offers. Check him out. Another guy to get some exposure to. Malcolm Wellmaker, 29 years old, 5'9", a big American, 5-0, 2 TKO, 2 sub for an 80% finish rate. Conflict MMA amateur champ. Impact Promotions amateur champ. National Fighting Championship champ. I had him as 9-1 as an amateur, so I'm not sure how accurate that is, but another large prospect at 5'9". Malcolm is a big guy that finishes fights, very athletic, uses his reach well, throws hard kicks, and has one punch power, along with some good grappling. The question on Malcolm is how will he fare against high-level competition? And at 29, it'd be great to see him maybe get one more fight and then get the call. But again, a big, strong, young kid that's getting at the age now where it is time. So hopefully we can get Malcolm some eyeballs and some exposure, and great kid to watch fight. Next up, going to finally a fellow Canadian of mine, Cody Chovanek, 24, 5'9". He's got good size, 5 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts, 1 submission for a 60% finish rate. Some good amateur experience that included kickboxing bouts to go along with his MMA journey. Also, from what I can see, Muay Thai experience as well. Good looking prospect, very technical and strong on his feet. Throws hard punches, straight, and like I mentioned, very technical, as well as hard kicks, and he's shown he's got the one punch power, which is an important tool to have that not everybody does have. Also displayed decent takedowns, good grappling, and he can submit opponents. So really looking forward to seeing more of Cody. You don't see a lot of fight cards in Canada, so hopefully you can get a couple of more fights here in the not so distant future. And again, I'd be shocked if he isn't picked up soon, because in Canada we do have some great young folks in some of the bigger promotions like Bellator and UFC and others. But if you're a good prospect in Canada, most likely you're going to get a call. So another win or two, Cody, I'd say he gets a shot. So again, folks, follow him on social media, share his stuff, share this video, give him a shout out. Let's get him some exposure. Next up, from Serbia. Great to see a fighter from Serbia. This guy's under the radar. Miljan Zakranic. Apologize, Miljan, if I'm mispronouncing your last name. 6 wins, no losses, 3 knockouts, 50% finish rate. Again, great to see a prospect out of Serbia. He's looked good thus far in his career. Good wrestling, and he's got decent hands. He looks pretty decent all around. His jiu-jitsu. Even though he hasn't had any submission wins, he uses his grappling to control opponents. And overall, he's looked really relaxed and athletic in the cage, which says a lot for a young fighter. Check out his Brave FC 56 win for an entertaining fight. And again, from Serbia, it'd be great, folks. So let's get this guy some exposure. He's super under the radar prospect, and hopefully this video gives you some exposure, Milan, and we're looking forward to seeing more of you. Keep up the great work. Next up, Ilmadi Iljarzov. 20 years old, 5'9", beast out of Russia, 6-0, 5 sub, 83% finish rate. Again, at 6-0, just 20, he deserves a look. He got good length for a bantamweight. 5'9" is a good size. He's very fast, athletic, and light on his feet. As with most Dagestans, he can wrestle. But what makes him even more impressive is his slick submission game that has seen him, beat some very tough opponents. Again, 6-0, just 20. Hopefully, we'll see more of this guy soon. I'm sure we will. Great start to his career. Moving on to Venezuela, Mauricio Alfonso, just 25, 6-0, 5 knockouts, 83% finish rate. I have him as a 4-0 as an amateur. Amateur Ultimate Combat Challenge Bantamweight champ. I want to give him a quick shout out. This guy's a brawler. He comes to fight. Kind of true Venezuelan, if you will. Myself personally had a 20-year hockey career and a 20-year baseball career. And I can say the Venezuelan Professional Baseball League is one of the most intense and rough baseball or sport leagues you can have. I've seen some major brawls there. So this guy's a beast. An example of what tough is. I'd like to see him develop a little more and most definitely get some more fights. But hey, we need some more fighters out in Venezuela making a big show. So hopefully Mauricio can get the call. Next up, back to USA, 5'9", 20 years old, Jesse Rojas, 5-0, 1-3 for an 80% finish rate. The IMMAF 2019 Youth World Championship bantamweight silver. 5 fights in one night, which was super impressive. This is the brother of young phenom Raul Rojas that fights in UFC currently. Jesse also has UFC aspirations. And like his brother, he finishes fights. He's shown good jiu-jitsu to go along with some power, as per his 12-second knockout win in his second pro fight. Most definitely, in my opinion, you'll see Jesse fighting again soon. I have no doubt with a couple of wins, he ends up on the Contender Series or right to the UFC. But really cool that Rojas also has, that Raul also has a brother that fights, and they're similar in age, so looking forward to seeing more of Jesse soon. Next up, sticking with the USA, Cage Gill, 24, 5-7, 5-0, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions, 100% finish rate. Empire Championship amateur champ, Gulf Coast Mixed Martial Arts amateur champ. Quick look at this unbeaten prospect. Cage Gill is 5-0, 5 stoppages, and he's got some good amateur experience. He's another guy that finishes fights, shows power in his hands, speed, decent takedowns, and looks to have good submission skills. All pro wins, I believe, have come in the first round. The last win was against a game opponent. But overall question for Cage will be, how does he fare against higher level competition? Because most wins have come with folks with, even or losing records. But hey, you can only fight the folks they put in front of you. So great job so far, Cage. Good to see you going undefeated with that 100% finish rate, and hopefully this video gives you some exposure, folks. Again, great opportunity for you all to help out these prospects. So check them out, Cage Gill. Moving on, Fernando Lawrence, 5'10", big bantamweight out of Brazil, 29. So his time is now. 16-3, 2 knockouts, 5 submissions, 44% finish rate. Standout Fighting Championship bantamweight champ, Federico Fight bantamweight champ, BJJ black belt. Fernando has turned his career around in one night. He turned his career around, reading off 10 straight victories. Very legit on the ground, controls opponents well. He's not a huge finisher, throws some nice leg kicks, but most definitely his ground game is where it's at. Again, diving into his 10-fight win streak, he's beat some great opponents, especially his last 4 fights, so I'd like to see him get a shot. Perfect fit for Bellator, or hey, he could get the call for the Contender Series too. Check him out. Next up, another Canadian on the list, which was awesome to see, and a caveat I believe potentially Sergey. First of all, we'll introduce him. So Sergey City, 27 years old, 5'11", great size for bantamweight. Potentially, I believe you get a call or contacted for the Contender Series. Again, I have to confirm that, but he most definitely deserves it. 9 wins, 1 loss, 6 knockouts, 1 submission, 78% finish rate. Battlefield Fight League Bantamweight Champion, BTC Fight Promotions Champion. Great to see an up-and-coming prospect from Canada. He's a talented fighter with a wide variety of technical skills, punches, kicking. He's a standout prospect, and he throws a nice low kick. Always looks for that KO. Good takedown defense and of course grappling will be a key challenge for him as he steps up competition. That'll be the big question if he is in fact in the Contender Series or if he's signed right to the UFC. He might be great. I haven't seen a ton of it, but most definitely his striking alone makes him a threat to anybody. I just haven't seen him get grapple a ton, and I haven't seen a lot of opponents try to take him down. But I'm sure he's great in that too. So check him out. Surrey City, folks, great chance to support an up and comer from Canada. Follow him on social media, share the video, and hopefully he sees success soon. I'm sure he will. Great fighter. Next up from South Korea. Great to see a fighter from South Korea. Minwoo Kim, 30 years old again. He's at the age now where it's time. 5'10". Believe he fights at 135 and he has fought at 145. He's a big fighter, a big bantamweight. 11-2, 3-3 for a 55% finish rate. The current Road FC bantamweight champ, a big long bantamweight fighter. Kim is a decently well-rounded fighter that can win fights by the means of KO, submission, or decision. He's fast, aggressive, throws one-punch KO power, comfortable on his feet, and throws some decent leg kicks to go along with a good sub game. Again, this is a guy that I thought there was rumor of him getting a call to fight on the road to the UFC. The road to the UFC tournament. But whatever the case is, I haven't heard much talk of that in the last few months, but I know a while back his name was being thrown around. So hopefully he gets a shot. Entertaining, big bantamweight, so check him out, folks. Next on, and again, we're trying to cruise here because we're 50 minutes in, but Juan Diaz, 26 from Argentina. Another place pumping out good prospects. 10-1, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions for a 50% finish rate. Another scrappy bantamweight prospect from Argentina. Juan has great start to his MMA career, and his only loss was a decision to the previously mentioned Rodrigo Vera. He looked great in recent fights, beating some good opponents and some well-rounded fighters. He's got good length for a bantamweight. He continues to develop each fight. Good gas tank with 5 decision victories, and again, he's been able to beat you via TKO or submission. Another couple wins, and you'll definitely see this guy get a call, in my opinion. Next up, Azamat Kerefov, 23 years old, 5'6" or 5'8", 135, fought at 145 as well, 7-0, 2 knockouts, just a 29% finish rate, but don't let that fool you. He's fought some decent opponents and has started his pro career in the Nazara Fighting Championships. They put on some good fights if you ever want to check it out. But very strong and athletic, very comfortable on his feet, has speed, quick hard punches, low hard kicks, or hard low kicks, sorry. And he also has decent takedown defense as well. I haven't seen much of his wrestling, so I really can't comment on that, but he's just 23-0, 7-0. And again, the Neza Fighting Championship puts on great fights. It's full of great young fighters, so check it out. And to go 7-0 in that organization is not easy. Next up, a guy I want to give a quick shout out to is Jesus Herrera, 28 years old, fighting out of Peru. And I'll tell you the story on him. He's 4-0, 3 knockouts, 1 submission, 100% finish rate. And out of the blue, I've seen him some of his fights. And he was fighting, folks that didn't have much experience, but he had this one-punch KO power. I've seen three of his fights. I've seen were all, like, he put opponents to sleep quickly. So I did a little research, had, traded some messages, had a chat with him, and it turns out he's got quite the background before turning professional MMA. He's a 13-time Wushu national pro champion, 2-time South American champion Sandra, multiple Pan American championships in Argentina, Mexico, and Cuba. South American K1 champ, South American Sandra champ. So I'm not sure about his all-around skills because they're seeing his quick KO wins. So I can't comment on his wrestling or grappling. But man, it's sometimes you find these guys out of the blue and they turn out to be stars. So I can for sure say that he's hasn't got a ton of exposure. And hopefully this platform gives it to him because fans love knockouts. So do yourself a favor, check out some of his fights on YouTube. KO power, man, and like I said, folks sometimes it's hard to teach that. A lot of fighters are born with it, and he's got it. So check it out. He says Herrera fighting at a Peru. Next up, at Argentina, Moro Matsamani, 25 years old, 5'7", 14-2, 8-2 for an 88% finish rate. 86th Samurai Fight House Bantamweight champ, Circuito Argentino per MMA Championship champ, Supreme Wars Fight League champ, Invictus Deluxe Championship Bantamweight champ, Ciudad de Flora Valier MMA champ, and I have him as 6-0 as an amateur, so quite the pedigree. Yet another scrappy fighter from Argentina. Maria is a fight finisher, as per his finish rate percent. I've seen him KO opponents via head kick, strikes, and ground and pound. Also displayed submission skills in some of those victories. And, fighting against some high-level wrestlers and opponents will be interesting to see how he responds to that. But at 14-2, at his age, you know what? I'd say he gets the call pretty soon. Next up, another guy I want to talk about. Hopefully we get him some exposure. Aaron Toe, 29-5'6" out of New Zealand. 7-0, 2 knockouts, 29% finish rate. Extreme Fighting Championship champ. Exciting fighter to watch. Action Pat Prospect, definitely a fan favorite. Fights at a high pace and has power. And he seems to be looking better and better each fight. You can find some of his matches here on YouTube. Of course, it'd be interested to see how he does against higher level competition. And I think he's fought at both 135, 145. I may be mistaken there, but I know he got some exposure winning the Dan Hooker scholarship, which was cool. And again, happy to see. We'll be happy to see more of this guy. So hopefully, he gets some fights soon. And hopefully, Aaron, this video gets him some exposure. Definitely wanted to give you a shout out, brother. And you know what? Great start to your career so far. And at 29, man, let's see you get another win, and let's see you get the call. So great job so far, Aaron. Next up, Abdul Kamara, 31-5, 10-1, 135. Sierra Leone MMA Lab with the likes of Jared Cannonier, Ben Henderson. So great training partner. 7-1, 1 knockout, 3 submission. Again, at 31 and 7-1, I wasn't going to include him. Then I watched some of his fights, and I had to give him a shout out. He throws hard leg kicks, elbows, throws straight punches. Guy's got talent. He can finish fights via submission as well, as per his record. Lots of amateur experience, I believe, that has helped him excel at the professional level. Again, takedown and wrestling will be the key if he's able to, beat upper level competition. But, with the folks he trained with, I'm sure he's getting tested, and I'm sure he's training wrestling hard. So hope to see more of him. Good job so far in your career, Abdul, and hopefully we get you some exposure. Next up, great young fighter out of the USA, Lake Gee, 24 years old, 5'7", 7-0, 2 knockout, 2 submission, King of the Cage amateur champ, 5'9" fight amateur champ, Rogue Fights amateur champ. Great to see another up-and-coming American prospect. Gee has a wrestling background, which has helped him control where he wants the fight to go. Decent hands and footwork for sure. And as all wrestlers, that's an area that definitely can develop. But now fighting under Uriah Faber's A's of Combat, It should get him some exposure for sure, and hopefully, like, this video will get you some exposure, brother. So great job so far in your career, and folks, great opportunity to support an up-and-coming fighter. Next up, another beast, my man Rustam Karimov out of Russia. Talked about Rustam way back. I'm going to say 2017 or 18, and again I mentioned him in 2020. 31 years old, 5'5". 17-1, 6 knockout, 2 submissions, 40% finish rate. Former ACA bantamweight champ. Coming off the first loss of his career over, the veteran beast Oleg Borisov. Is a fighter that he's beaten in the past, but you know what? ACA, there's no easy wins. To give you an idea how big the sport is getting, this guy fights at ACA. He's got 1 million followers on Instagram. So it'd be great for the rest of the world to see some of these guys that fight, in places like Russia, that they're stars in their country, but let's get them over. Let's make them world stars, right? So hopefully he can bounce back off that loss, which I know he will, get some wins, and man, I'd like to see him match up against, some of the top ranked bantamweights. So good fighter, man, well-rounded, can wrestle, can strike, can do it all. Check him out, and you know what, Rustam, hopefully, I know you got a fight coming up at ACA. I think it's 161, so good luck with that, brother, and hopefully you get the call soon. All right, next up, Vinicius de Oliveira, 27-5-9 out of Brazil, 18-3, 14 knockouts, 2 submissions, 89% finish rate. Man, this guy's a beast. UAE Warriors bantamweight champ. Vinicius is a talented fighter from Brazil, who's a big time finisher with his 14 TKO wins. He did have a tough KO loss against rising PFL star Ali Talib in a fight he was winning until he got caught, and that's the way the sport goes. I still wanted to give him a shout out. He could most definitely tighten things up, tighten up his striking a bit for sure. But he's well rounded, and he's dangerous to his opponents, and he fights at a high pace. So hopefully he can, string together some more wins. And he could definitely fight Bellator, the Contender Series right now, you name it, and be very competitive, if not win. Next up, another caveat, Peyton Talbot. So the caveat is here, again, not 100% confirmed, but I believe he may have got an offer to fight the Contender Series, and he may have a fight coming up next month. Peyton Talbot, 24 years old, 5'10", 135. 5 wins, no losses, 5 knockouts, 83% finish rate. 5-0 as an amateur. Like I said, big, strong, talented, athletic fighter. And just seems to be getting better and better each fight. With all these TKO, again, I had said 83% finish rate, but it's actually, sorry, my bad, 100% finish rate. But yeah, he finds ways to win fights, KO, TKO, you name it. I haven't seen much of his submission attempt game because he hasn't had to use it. He's been that dominant. But big, strong kid, just 24. Definitely someone you want to pay more attention to. And if he did, in fact, get the call to go to the Contender Series, man, in my opinion, he's ready to step in there, and he'll be a tough out for anybody. So check him out, Peyton Talbot, and hopefully it's true. Hopefully he is getting that shot at the Contender Series, and hopefully we see more of him. Next on the list, Rickson Tai Zendiembuano, 24 years old, 14-1, 2 knockouts, 10 submission, 86% finish rate. Hard Combat 135 bantamweight champ and Alzhir fight champ 135 champion. Rickson is a big submission threat, having sub 10 opponents in just 15 pro fights. He's beat some decent opponents, with his only loss being to the previously mentioned Rodrigo Vera. He uses an array of kicks and punches to set up the takedown, where he gets his geography and he looks for the submission victory. He also throws some nice knees, so hopefully we get to see Rickson soon. Definitely a talented fighter. Okay, we're really going to cruise here, folks, because I'm getting way over an hour. Eric Visconti, 26-5-7 out of Brazil. I'm not sure if it's Brazil or Serbia. 12-2, 4-6 for an 83% finish rate. Nacio Cyborg bantamweight champ, Iron MMA bantamweight champ. He's a fight finisher who's never been finished. Heavily grappling based. Doesn't look like he's developed that much at this point on the feet at all, but he uses his striking to get the takedown where his jiu-jitsu kicks into gear and he finds ways to submit you or ground and pound you out. His last few wins, he's beat some great opponents. Still room for development, like I said, from a striking standpoint, but guy in the roll, man, with the 12-2 record. Hopefully we see more of him soon. Next up, another quick shout out, Ivan Arenko, 28 out of Russia, 12-2, 5 knockouts, 3 submissions, 67% finish rate. Ivan is on a 12-fight win streak after starting his career 0-2. I went back and forth, but I decided I wanted to include him. Hasn't beat the highest level competition, although he's got a win over 12-1 Abdullah Magomedov. That sealed it for me. I wanted to include him. 5 ways to win fights. And it's a fight finisher. Ground and pound. Fights both looking for the TKO or submission. I'd definitely like to see more of him. Hopefully he will get a shot soon. Doesn't matter to me what promotion, as long as he gets a chance, get some spotlight. So hopefully this video gives you some exposure, Ivan, and great job so far. Another quick one here, folks, and this is kind of me asking you for some help, but Raul Ramirez, fighting out of Peru, 8-0, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions, 75% finish rate. I got him at 3-0 as an amateur. I can't find any info on this guy. I can't find his age. I'm hoping he's under 30. I reached out to him, didn't hear nothing back, so he's 8-0 and he looks pretty decent. So if any of y'all got any information on him, his age, then feel free to shoot it my way. All right, so what I wanted to do here is I wanted to have a quick little chat about KSW. Not going to go into depth, but I just wanted to kind of point out that they've done a decent job on their bantamweight division, filling it with some great prospects. I'm just going to run through quickly some of the names in that division now, and we'll give the champion a little shout out. But a quick one, so Kamil Jakat, he's 25, 4-0 as a professional, 11-2 amateur career. We got Verderson Martins out of Brazil. He's 27, 18-5, but he's got a high finish rate, 77%. Exciting fighter. We got a beast out of Portugal, Gustavo Oliveira, 26, 10 wins, 2 losses, 6 knockouts, 3 submissions, 90% finish rate. The Batala MMA champion. And then we got Sebastian Przaba. He's 30 years old, 12-3. He's 5-4 for a 75% finish rate. And I want to shout him out because he's got a upcoming championship fight with the champion of KSW. It's the 4th time these guys fought, so it's their version of the 4-time flyweight battle, just like in the UFC. But the guy we'll mention, he's the champion, and there's obviously more bantamweight fighters in that division in KSW. But I just figured we'd give a shout out to some of the younger prospects there. But Jacob Wiklas, 26 out of Poland, 14-3, 1 draw, 9 submissions, 64% finish rate. Great jiu-jitsu practitioner, and you can see, I'm not going to go through, but look at the accolades he has with all these, jiu-jitsu tournaments and amateur MMA tournaments. So he's earned his stripes, winning numerous tournaments, placing in numerous tournaments. He's got great jiu-jitsu, and I believe, I may be mistaken, but I believe he just got his black belt under Robert Drysdale. We all know what level Robert Drysdale is at. So stand up is where he needs to improve on. I'm sure he's working that, but he's a heavily jiu-jitsu based guy. So hopefully his striking will see improvement. But these two are going to fight again at the upcoming KSW card in September. So it's 2-1 for Jacob right now. The last fight was a split decision. So check it out. But definitely a shout out to KSW and a shout out to Jacob for battling hard after having some losing the fights early in his career to turn things around and now be the KSW champion. Hopefully, Jacob, you do well, and hopefully this video gives you some exposure. Wow, well that's it, folks. 71 fighters, man. That's one of the bigger ones I've ever done, if not the biggest. Like I said, when we get through the whole series, this whole 2023 series, 2024 and there on about, we're going to do a lot smaller videos, and it just might be random, it may not be by weight class. But The next video probably be a month or so before I get it out. My work schedule is still kind of wacky. But again, folks, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I'm going to ask again, if you want me to continue, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please comment. Please like it on Facebook, Instagram. Follow me on those. Twitter. Give a shout out to the fighters. Again, it helps both the fighters and myself or in my channel. So again, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Look forward to hearing from you. Love talking MMA with folks. And you know what? Feel free to reach out. So thanks again for watching. We'll see y'all soon for the next part in the 2023 MMA Prospect Series. Thanks, folks.